You're listening to Open for Discussion, where, man, y'all probably shouldn't have said that. It tends to happen. Let's start the show.
715 East Music Group.
Welcome to Open for Discussion, where any and everything is on the table to be discussed. I'm your host, Howard. I got my brothers from another mother. I got my boy Diddy Rowe, a.k.a. what it is today.
L'chaim.
All right, man. All right.
For my Jewish brothers and sisters.
Come on now. I got my boy Cleet the Geek.
Yo, what it do? What it do?
So stupid. And my boy G-Dub, man.
Yo.
Welcome, man, fellas, man. We got some things. I have a question that I want to ask y'all up front. Now, is this a good business idea or is it going to turn out terrible? I sent all of y'all a text. So I want y'all to click on that. I would like for you to look at it and just hold your opinion and just think, is this a smart idea or is this going to turn out horribly wrong? Now, for everybody else in the audience that's listening, what I sent them is a link to, it's a movie theater in Switzerland. Now, we've all been accustomed to going to theaters with nice reclining chairs, nice reclining leather seats, and where you can lean all the way back if you want to. But they've taken this thing to an entirely different level. They are putting in twin beds. Now, you may say, why in the world would you do that? For me, most experiences at your home, you're doing what? You're laying down in your bed and you're watching a movie. So, again, my question, is this a good business idea or is this going to end up terrible? You have the floor.
Good in what regards? Will it make money? Is that what you're saying?
However you take it. Is this a good idea, a good business decision, or is this going to end up terrible?
Again, I think context. I think if you're trying to make money, people will support it. So, from that perspective, if the end game is to make money, I think it's innovative, and I think people will patronize.
Now, oh boy, my question is, how disgusting are those sheets gonna be?
I would imagine they're gonna switch
now
them
that
out.
is the question.
I would imagine they switch them out every time. This is gonna be expensive. It's just dumb.
Doubt it.
This is just pretty dumb. I was just gonna put it. This is pretty dumb. I mean, I'm gonna pay to go to sleep.
Yeah, you just going to donate.
Yeah, it's already hard enough for people to stay awake to movies these days anyway. Yeah, the upkeep. It's just a dumb idea.
Listen, man, you got to think about this teenage world that we got going on now.
My God!
Oh boy!
Oh Lord!
You can get a little stinger going on here and there, and
Sting ain't the word.
Whew.
Wow.
Man, I'm just thinking about the upkeep of those sheets and how sanitized it's going to be, because everybody ain't going to be. You ain't doing savory work. It's going to be pretty unsavory.
Never seen the top seats.
So I'm gonna keep it absolutely real. This idea is, like Brian said, it's good because people will buy it. I think the customer experience will be terrible because, one, people will fall asleep. I don't watch TV. I don't watch movies that I want to watch laying down. I watch them sitting up.
Right, because they're into it.
Yeah, so if I'm laying down, I'm going to sleep. And if I just pay for a movie, I just want to watch it, and I go to sleep, I'm going to be really upset. Secondly, when people go to sleep, they start snoring. So that's already something that is another sound nuisance to me, trying to hear the quiet parts of the movie because someone 2 rows over is now snoring. Thirdly, this is going to be a really disgusting place for public displays of affection that go a little bit too far.
Oh, it's
right?
a little bit.
This is going
a little
too
bit.
far.
This is a
it's
bed.
Going all the way.
This is a bed, okay? A bed where people will be...
And it's in the dark.
Sorry.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on.
Yeah, this isn't going to work out well from a customer experience standpoint. I think people will go and it'll be like, oh, this is so cool, let's go. And they'll start to buy in. And yeah. And then you then go on to the sheets and the pillows. It's like, is this thing being wiped down? And then if it is getting wiped down, the cleaning staff, what are they going to have to encounter with a bed?
Some of everything.
All right. So there's my thoughts on this business idea.
Bin.
So again, if you go and patronize this establishment, you're not going to watch the movie. Let's just be honest.
Yes.
That's
Agreed.
not
To make a movie.
the intent. Exactly. Exactly. Period. So that's what I'm saying. There is a market for this, and people will go for that reason. So
We just talked about pervs. So, man.
Yeah. Bad idea.
Bad idea.
So y'all collectively, everybody gonna go with a bad idea.
Oh,
Ryan, you
absolutely.
going with a good financial?
yeah, if the end objective is to make money,
Yeah, absolutely. Is it something that I will patronize? Absolutely not.
yeah, but there's a market for it.
Yeah. I'm not getting into bed, bro, because look, I already struggle with going to hotels and getting into bed because. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
That was a heck of a
Nowhere to go with this.
I don't know.
Nowhere to go with this.
I don't want to throw myself under the bus. But let's just say I've seen some things happen on some sheets in hotels.
Okay.
Man.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, man. So
We're
about
all
the
adults
weather.
here.
Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah. I don't think it's a great idea. I think it's a great thought, but it's definitely not going to turn out the way that they expected it.
Yeah.
Because it's. Whew, you want to believe that the human civilization is civilized, but that animal nature is going to come out of there and it's going to be a mess.
It's going to be terrible.
Yeah. Speaking of blasphemies, I uncovered something that was extremely. It bothered me to my core.
Was it at this movie theater?
It was not at the movie theater. It actually dealt with. I don't even know what to call you, man. Brian, Diddy Rowe, Salam Alaikum, Assalam, everything, man.
Chaim.
Yeah, Lahaim, adios. But either way, we were having a conversation, and it was uncovered. It was a little text group that we have, and I realized that one of my good friends over here to the left of me, this man has never seen the Goonies.
I ain't seen the Goonies.
What? You've never seen the Goonies?
Clee, where you from, bro?
Dade County, bruh.
What does that matter?
I'm pretty certain that if we ask 10 Dade County people, I give a 5. 5 of them.
I'm gonna give
They
an
play in
8.
the house. I was
Give an
outside.
8.
Bro, it's a movie. You never watch movies growing up?
A cult classic.
Did it come out in the theaters when I was young?
You
No.
seen Back to the Future?
No,
No,
it came out in the 80s.
Thank you.
And
So
so you
when
didn't
I
have a
See Back to the
VCR?
Future.
Yeah, I had
Yeah, did you see
VCR.
Back to the Future?
But that's,
Nope.
we weren't running to see
See, that's
Goonies.
the problem.
Oh, it's not
Did
a
you hear
movie
what
that
this man hasn't seen Back to the Future either.
Whoa, brother.
I saw snippets of it.
You've never seen Back to the...
No, I've never certain segments.
Well, wait a minute.
I've never had this desire to see. Like, I don't like Robin Williams.
Robin Williams isn't in the movie?
I know that, but I'm saying it's the same type movie.
I don't understand what you're
it's
hating
never
right
been,
now.
It's never been an appealing movie to me.
That's not your style of movie, yeah.
Yeah, I don't care.
I saw clips of Goonies. I just don't remember it.
Yeah, I've seen. Of course, you used to come on
so
TNT
disgusting.
every Saturday, but if come on, this is dumb. Turn it.
No, it made me question.
I
What
had
are some of the cult
VCR.
classics and cult cult classics,
Yeah.
TV shows and cult movies that y'all guys you know that are super popular, but you have never seen?
For the longest time, that was Star Wars for me. But
Have you ever seen
caught
Full
Star
Metal
Wars.
Jacket?
Yes.
No.
God dang it!
What about
I
Top
saw
Gun?
clips from it.
You
Yeah,
never
that's
seen
what
Star
Tom
Wars?
Cruise seen.
No, I did see Star Wars.
I haven't seen
Full
Star
Metal-
Wars, man.
Full-
I've never watched.
Look
the
at you,
episode.
huh?
You never watched Star Wars?
Never
Because
watched Star Wars.
What?
Never watched
look
Star
at that.
Wars.
Listen,
That's the
I'll
biggest
explain
cult
to you-
classic
No,
of
I'll
all
explain
time.
to you my hate for Star Wars. When I was a jit, nap time was my mama's sci-fi moments. So she would put on Star Trek, or she'd be watching something with Star Wars, or some what was it? What was the one with the little robot with the accordion arms? Lost in Space.
Oh, that's old school.
So-
that's super old school.
Listen,
Listen, you dated
it was either that or the stories.
Them stories.
Yeah,
No,
see,
I couldn't do it.
I watched most of the fantasy stuff with my dad. Like all of the old school fantasy movies or like old school TV shows.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Wow, man.
We didn't hear you. Can you say a lot of?
Like my dad dominated the remote control. So either you watch what he wanted to watch, or
go to another room.
or you go to sleep. So I got like that's when my affinity for crime TV shows happened, because all he did, I grew up watching Matlock, Andy Griffith Show, In the Heat of the Night.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
goodness.
Like, bro, that was
Well,
my.
you hated your life.
Oh no, Heat of the Night was that. You go over your grandma's house, you go watch
Oh,
it. Heat of the
yeah,
Night.
any grandma
See, my-
house, you gonna watch.
My dad worked at home, so during
Murder,
the
She
summers,
Wrote,
it wasn't
yeah.
like he was home
there
during
was no-
lunchtime. It was like, all right, well, this is what we watching. So, but yeah, I've pretty much seen just about every cult classic. I have a close family friend. I call her Miss D. She was effectively like an aunt, and she had a massive. She still has it, a massive DVD collection. When DVDs first came out, she bought everything, like every movie that you can think of. She bought it, and going over her house, it was literally like looking at a library of books. It's like, what do we want to read today? What do you want to watch? All right, cool. Let me put this in. Major Pain, Full Metal Jacket, Top Gun.
There
Pain,
you
I saw
go.
know what I mean?
Major Pain is a great movie.
Full
But my
Metal
question
Jacket,
is,
let's see.
who are we defining as the cult? Because I would venture to say that The Goonies is a movie that's most beloved by white America.
So cult
It is
classic.
not.
The cult classic is as a name for a movie that had a really low budget that ended up exploding in the movie theater. So Coming to
Napoleon.
America,
Okay.
Napoleon Dynamite.
another Napoleon Dynamite, to a certain extent,
yeah, high school.
But it's like, yeah, so you came in low budget, low expectation. Honestly, most of Eddie Murphy movies are considered cult classics because they came in super low budget and it was just Eddie being Eddie, and then all of a sudden it's like, this is hilarious. What's the Trading Places?
Oh, outstanding.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah, I saw that.
But like that's what a cult classic actually is, not just the demographic of the cult.
Okay, well, thank you.
So what's
for
the one?
clarifying.
What's the one with the dude raise his fist? What's that one? At the end,
What are you talking about? Olympics?
Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Another
that's
cult
another
classic.
one. That's
Have you
another-
seen that before, bro?
Yeah, seen bits.
Have you seen Ferris
seen that,
Bueller's Day
yeah.
Off?
Another
I
cult
did
classic.
see that.
I
I
did
did see
bits and
that.
pieces.
I saw that in school. Actually, they put that on.
Yeah,
the
they
did
made
see
us
that.
watch it in school.
Yeah, I did see that one. Yeah, I mean,
Noticing a trend here, Brian.
Well, Brian
Have you
just
seen
did.
Meteor Man?
Meteor Man. Ain't that one of the
Robert Townsend.
Robert Townsend.
Robert Townsend.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. They all the same.
no,
Yeah.
you're thinking of Blank Man.
Blank,
Yeah, I
Blank
seen
Man
Meteor
Yeah,
Man.
living color.
was Damon Wayans.
Never
Yeah.
underestimate the power of the handicap.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I've seen all of those. Like my dad was big on
Black movies.
blockbuster movies growing up. We had all of them.
Goodness.
Yeah. So yeah, I would not want watching Goonies, man. Nobody care about
Yeah.
that.
Goonies was a good movie.
No, what
Goonies was-
kind of
about
people are you?
Goonies,
Yeah.
bro. What up?
Dog, it's the
Because honestly,
Goonies.
Goonies was about impoverished kids,
That's
right?
it.
Who were basically in a they were. It wasn't projects like we know projects, but it was their version of projects, right? And their house was about to get destroyed. It was about to get gentrified by an organization, and they needed money in order to keep the house. The house was getting foreclosed on. You know, that was it.
Treasure
You,
hunt.
you were done. So
The
they
government gave him money.
no,
No, they went and found it.
They went on a
the
treasure hunt to try to find.
Is it the one with vampires and stuff?
That is so stupid.
That's why, yeah, because it was irrelevant. Yeah, yeah, okay.
I just,
yeah, it's
I
a good movie.
I
Yeah,
hate you an extra notch.
Wasn't there
The
one
Sandlot.
with a bunch
Sandlot.
of
You saw the
kids? And they
Sandlot.
had-
Sandlot was a
I've
great
seen
movie.
Sandlot.
Great movie.
Sandlot was a
That's blasphemous.
fantastic movie.
Did you watch?
killing
Have
me,
you
Spike.
seen
That's
Little
beautiful.
Giants?
Who hasn't
Oh,
seen Little
yeah,
Giants?
Gotta
Yeah.
see watching.
Dog, I was gonna swing on you if you said no.
Yeah,
Dog, I had
man.
my
Say no,
eyes
Clint.
locked in on
Say
you.
no. You ain't gonna
Too
do
late
nothing.
now.
Say no, bro.
What about Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. All his movies were dope, man. The 90s. Mm-hmm. His movies were dope.
Was it?
Yeah, everybody.
Dude.
You wanted to get shrunk, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. What movie he came out with that didn't like hit?
Yeah, Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
Rick Moranis had
Little
it. You know, he
Shop of
gave
Horror.
up. He gave up what you call it, acting for his kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a dad.
That's off the scene.
His wife passed away, and he wanted to be a dad, and was like, "I'm just done." And he was at the top of his
Top
game.
of his
bro.
game. I'm telling you, everything he was dropping was just a hit. Cool.
Flintstones, which was kind of whack, but
Yeah.
it had Halle Berry.
You only
one?
watched that because
Flintstones.
Halle Berry was in it.
Yeah, that was probably his weakest one, but still, it did good
Yeah.
in the box office. So yeah,
Did it?
Yeah, it did good.
they did.
Yeah,
good.
I have no idea.
They had a big old. I remember it was like a big old thing with McDonald's. They had like certain.
Oh, yeah. They did.
burger
They did.
thing. Yeah, so it was a big deal, money wise. All right,
It still bothered me, man. It just y'all cats ain't seen
nobody
the
care about no
Goonies in it.
dang on Goonies.
It's a little weird for me, man. So I'm gonna move past that before I end up,
Oh, that show was like 40 years ago.
cutting our
Nobody care
friendships
about
off, man.
It's a great movie.
that. Dudes in their
Ridiculous,
50s, man. Nobody care about old old. Crusty old goodies.
Funny thing is, Thanos is in the movie.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Thanos like 60 years old, man. Get out of here, man. Goonies, man. Goonies came out in the 50s, man.
No, he was like 17 at that time.
Came out on Goonies.
Dang, boy, I tell you, boy, you guys.
I'm just saying, man.
just
Is it Friday? Is that Friday? No. Okay.
Another cult classic.
First of all, you as a kid shouldn't have been watching Friday.
I shouldn't. I don't know. Yeah, that's another story.
Oh man.
Now y'all know good and well, boy. Listen, see, I went all the way back in the days to where we would have it'd be like a rated R movie when you ain't supposed to be watching it.
Yeah, you in the other room?
No, we in the other room now. We ain't even have Cinemax and HBO back then, but because when you used to click on the channel, it just be doing wavy lines.
Squiggly lines.
I'm a legit. I'm horned up. It's like, oh, you get that one good pause. Like, I see it.
Oh man, why didn't they just like black out the picture? Why did they do the squiggly line? It makes no sense.
They knew
That's
what
the tech
kids
they
were
have,
doing,
man.
Like,
That was like previews.
You'd be like, listen, this is it right here, man. Close the door.
Listen, I sat in I was supposed to be asleep, and my parents, they were watching New Jack City.
Oh yeah, New Jack City.
No,
I listened to
classic.
I said it right?
Yeah, I said another cult classic.
Yeah, I listened to the whole movie. Sitting in the hallway. I listened to the whole movie. Like, and every time they were like, "Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom." I'm like,
Take over.
I gotta go sleep. Right? Got back
Absolutely.
up. I'm just like,
You listened?
I listened to the whole movie.
You listened to a movie.
That's
so
how bad I wanted to
weird.
watch it. Because we would sit there and they're like,
Oh, my
no, you
goodness.
can't watch this. I'm like, boy, we didn't. No, go to bed. I was so angry, so I just left.
Now y'all had
Sitting in the doorway.
a problem growing up when like you watching the movie and then something happened and then your mom would be like, man, cover your eyes up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing like this.
That happened to me watching
Finger spread, baby.
the Steven Seagal movie when they were on the submarine.
Under Siege.
Under
Is it Under
siege.
Siege? Yeah.
So there's one part in the movie where after they come under siege, there's a girl who was supposed to be a surprise and a birthday cake,
Okay.
and she pops up out of the birthday cake. My parents, they were like, "Come here!" I was like,
I'm like, buddy, I'm already seen it.
I'll never forget that. I was like, "Wow, I'm watching this movie with my dad." Okay, all right.
Yeah, too late. Yeah, you too invested at
Man,
that point.
Adrian, she used to have the funniest stories because her dad would watch the movie and then record it on a VCR tape, and then he would go back and edit it.
So they cut out all the curse words, all the.
You used to be able to do
movie
that.
we were watching, she was like, "What part of the movie is this?" This is like the beginning of the movie. I've never seen this before.
That happened to me. First time I watched Coming to America was on like TNT.
Yeah, me too.
So
man.
when I watched the first real version of Coming to America, it was like,
I was
Change your
vexed.
life.
oh, okay.
I was vexed.
I remember this part.
This
Straight
is-
confusion. This isn't the movie.
Not just for like the content, but just like the in the 80s,
dialogue.
like,
Sunshine.
the movies in 80s cursed so much.
Yes.
Like they really did not care. It was like
Yeah.
every other word.
I'm
I'm
like
like,
Richard Pryor in the movie.
bro, it was
Red
like
Fox.
I'm like,
Red.
this is insane. These
No, you
people
think
are-
about Harlem Nights.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Harlem
Oh
Nights.
yeah, Harlem Nights. Yeah,
Oh, that one
but
too.
still,
Jeez.
they just
Phenomenal.
they just curse so much. I'm like, oh, all right, this makes you feel kind of weird. Like the one scene with Samuel L. Jackson. When he's in the
trying
McDowell's
to rob
or whatever,
the place.
and he was like, on the TNT version, they was like, "Who is this airhead?" You see the real version, and that was my first introduction to Samuel L. I was like, "Oh, hello." Okay.
Oh,
Very
they just
different.
remake this movie?
No, I think it's uncomfortable to you, like in that initial watching the unedited version, because how you were raised. I was raised the exact same way.
Yes, sir.
Like if my parents heard cussing or something, either we turned it. If they had to tell you to turn it, the whole TV was going off.
Yeah.
So we would watch nothing.
Yeah.
Or if we knew something was coming, we'd be like, ha! Kind of making that here. And so, so I remember like, even now, man, I have difficulties listening to stand-up comics who just cuss profusely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to cuss them. Like, yo, Where's your vocabulary?
Yeah,
like oh man.
Shout out to Sinbad, one of the greatest
Absolutely.
comedians of all time.
How tough that is,
Like
man.
Sinbad never always have you cracking up, never cursing, man. Even though I appreciate we gave a shout out to another show to Bernie Mac, so I appreciate some of the language in comedy sometimes. But Sinbad,
Bernie
one of the best
Mac,
ever.
He made it so
He made
funny
it funny,
that
yeah.
you kind of overlooked it, man. And he was a genius at it.
Sometimes
You know who I hate
you say it
cursing?
the right way. It's funny.
Like
Yeah.
when they're doing comedy, who I love them when they're not cursing. I hate them when they're cursing. Steve Harvey. Like I can't stand like Kings of Comedy
because he don't have to.
He doesn't have
He's
to.
done it.
It's
He's
just
done a
like
few stand-up
so
without doing it.
forced. I'm like, bro, just be funny, man.
Yeah.
Like Steve Harvey show, hilarious.
I love that.
Hilarious.
Yeah, like Steve Harvey show.
But like
Him and stand up.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah. Damn,
Yeah, he didn't have to do it. Yeah, and he's done successful shows.
yeah, he has.
cussing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I just don't. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Moving on, fellas, man. That was great, man. But it's a topic that has been. It's been in the. If you're in the sports world, you definitely have seen it. You know, you've seen it. You maybe had a little flash read on it. My boy Dub here, he didn't even want to discuss it. But it's a female track runner named Caster. I think it's Semenya is how you pronounce her last name. Now, at first glance, she's a more masculine looking female. But she's dominated her particular short distance sprint. She runs the 800, which is 2 laps around the track. And she's been dominating in that particular event for the last 4.5, 5 years. And now the Olympic committees, they've put a ban on her from running unless she submits to taking estrogen shots. Now, the backstory on her is, like I said, she's a very masculine-looking woman, but she's done tests. They subjected her to a test to prove that she is female, and to prove that, they're saying that she, they wanted to make sure she's not a hermaphrodite or something like that, where she has, 2 genitalia and things of that nature. But she's been, they determined that she is female. She produces, everything else that females produce.
Right.
But she just has a high testosterone output. Her body puts out a lot of testosterone. So in order for her to compete, they're now saying that she needs to take estrogen pills in order for her to compete in the Olympics. And I just want to throw that out there to see what's your thoughts on that.
I just think it's unethical. I mean, she can't help the way that she's born. You can't. If you're putting out more than the common person, like you can't put a ban on that. If you identify with the species, not identify by change, but if you were naturally made in that species,
Species.
Sorry, bro. Don't. You good, bro. We know what you're saying. We absolutely
gender. I'm sorry, gender.
Species are like a
Yeah, you're right.
We know what you're saying, bro.
Gender. If you're naturally born to that gender,
Don't worry about it, guy, bro. You continue your point.
I was like,
Freaking
dang,
elitists. Go ahead, bro.
No,
Bro, and instead of them trying to support you, and
they understand.
what does he say? This guy's an idiot. Go ahead, bro.
If ever Brian is on your side, you already
You know you're wrong. I still appreciate the support anyway. Don't worry.
already lost.
No, seriously though, like gender, she can't help that. So I think once again, people trying to regulate stuff that they can't have control over. It's at the end of the day, I think people it's a power play by whoever's over the governing body of this whole situation.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of angles to look at it.
Give them to us, man.
I mean, she has actually in previous times she has actually took the testosterone suppressants. There was a span in her career that she took them. I first heard about her. I was listening to NPR a while back and like, what, really? And so I kind of looked at her a little bit. I don't believe she should have to, nor should she take anything that would put her on a quote unquote level playing field. First thing is, who determines what a level playing field is?
Exactly.
Who, by what metric or what's the basis that we're formulating? Well, this is what a woman should be. These are the levels that a woman's estrogen levels should be. What's that based on? I would venture to say it's probably based on some European standards.
Oh, there we go.
So at the fundamentals, why is this considered the standard? Why can we not accept that she might actually be just an anomaly? Yeah. Bill Russell, when he came into the NBA, was an anomaly. Yeah. He dominated at a level we hadn't seen before. So that's like saying, well, we're gonna raise your goal. You got this one goal. We're gonna raise it up to 15 feet, so that way it could be an equal playing field for you with these other 5'5" guys out here. No, you have a gift, and she's gifted with these with this genetic makeup. It's like telling Michael Phelps, who they actually, they study as, him having short legs, very long arms, as being genetically superior, or that allows him to be a superior swimmer. Lance Armstrong, they did studies on him. His body composition allowed him, with the help of some steroids and all that other stuff he took, to be a premier cyclist. So there are advantages that you are genetically birthed with. And a person should not be penalized, nor should they have to somehow subject themselves to some level of what some committee deems as normal. So, nah, man, I'm not with that. And there is, to me, some hints of racism in it because she's from South Africa. She's a black South African. No, she is. She's black. She's from South Africa. I don't even know exactly what to call it.
Black South African. So the governing bodies of any sport at any time will want to regulate
dominance,
right? You don't want someone winning for an extended period of time because that makes other people less inclined to participate and compete, and then in turn loses you money. Now, if you have a great competition, like the great thing about Usain Bolt was that he had Justin Gatlin almost every year with him, and Justin Gatlin was a fantastic person to push Usain Bolt. So you have that competition that's there. But when you have someone who is literally dominating, especially the way that this lady is, it's not uncommon that the organization is going to be like, okay, how can we find ways to stop this?
Yes, they're literally finding ways to contain her.
Right. And
so is she like blowing people out by like...
She's not blowing them out.
She's winning by a second.
She's just winning.
But she's not losing.
Not even close to losing. It's not like...
Like there's gaps? Like Usain Bolt style?
Usain Bolt's
a little different.
She has significant gaps. And not...
She's beating people by about 15 to 20 meters at a time.
Which is significant when you're talking about...
It's a second to a second and a half.
So comparison to...
so Usain Bolt, he wasn't like dominating he wasn't dominating from the blocks, right? So
he just finished.
He finished super strong, and everyone is like, "Oh, it's a good race. It's a good race," and then it's not a good race anymore. Yeah. She's similar, but they're not even close to competing with her, and because she is a black woman who is dominating the sport, obviously there's going to be some things called into question. But once those questions got answered, because me, obviously, at face value, you see something and you're like, okay, well, I got some questions. It's kind of like, I don't know if y'all ever saw the movie Juwanna Man growing up. That's the first thing that I saw
Juwanna Man.
What was the name of that?
I appreciate
dude?
It.
He was in like some local TV show. I can't remember his name.
What's his name?
Oh, man.
That's not Anthony. Michael?
Miguel something.
Yeah. So he basically was an NBA player, lost it, right? Went to the WNBA to dominate, right? So you'll see that, and people who are ultra competitive would consider doing something like this. Like you see this happening right now in America, where these 30-year-old men are posing as high schoolers just so that they can go and compete. So people will go to.
I need to look that up.
Oh yeah, it happens quite frequently.
Like at least two in the last. I want to say the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Where it's like a 22, 23-year-old dude. He go back to high school as a freshman.
Yeah, and he's dominating
on the court.
And it's like, oh, this is going to be the next. And then it's like they investigate, and there was a forged birth certificate. Like this dude is a grown man playing with kids,
getting in relationships with the young girls.
Yeah,
but even superseding that, I mean, they thought they made these same accusations on Serena.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you dominate, there's going to be that call into question, especially if you don't fit the mold of what a champion is supposed to look like. So, I initially had questions just in regards to, okay, well, is she biologically woman? This wasn't, because we live in a world right now where transgender is a thing.
Yeah,
right. Like, so if a person was a man, biologically, and they decided to change their parts to a woman, well, the rest of your makeup is still man.
Yeah, you still a
right.
man.
So you will, if you compete, then you will dominate in a woman's sport. And I won't say you will dominate because women can compete with men in a lot of areas. I just don't want to see that be an unfair advantage in some particular regards.
Right. So now the sports world has to now navigate this new terrain because you got transgender, transsexual. You got now all these terms.
Yeah.
So now there has to come a point to where the governing body of all sports entities recognize that this is something that we will have to deal with, and now they've got to formulate how they're going to deal with it.
Yeah.
So do you think that's the reason why they have the standards?
No, because that doesn't apply to her.
It doesn't apply to her at all.
She's a woman.
100% woman.
She just dominates.
She just has a lot of, her body produces a lot of testosterone.
Well, I'm saying, do you think they put that in place so that they can allow transgenders to compete now?
There's transgenders competing already.
Yeah.
Like there's transgender
so
men
then that would make sense
that are fighting. They were born a man, but they had the entire operation, and they're fighting in MMA in the women's.
Okay, so to that point, then I think since there's transgenders in there, then you got to have. This is the standard. Like if you're going to be in here, you got to make sure your testosterone is below this level. Wouldn't y'all agree?
Well, if you're
allowing it for,
you can't regulate that. Like
you can regulate that for if somebody's made the conversion,
right?
If somebody is coming in as a man and then they want to fight in the females thing, they're transitioning to a woman or they are a woman now. You should be able to regulate and say, hey, as long as your estrogen levels are here, and you can do that however they do it in the medical field. I respect that. That's understandable because now you're saying, but she's 100% woman.
Yeah, right.
So you can't say, okay, I need you to genetically alter what your body is naturally producing.
Bro, that's discriminatory.
Yeah,
that's discriminatory, and
it's going to be very tough to have a global medical board agree, especially in something like Olympics, agree that this is the standard for whatever, because although that you make the transition from a man to a woman or a person that's done that, to say that to have one particular governing board of scientists say this is the accepted standard. This is the and it's like I'm not doing anything but living my life, and I'm above the accepted standard. So now I have to take drugs to get me below the accepted standard that will conversely and absolutely have side effects. Oh, yeah. Right? So now I'm endangering my life so I can compete. Yeah. Right? Yeah. That's like
she said she won't do it. She said that she refuses to take any medicine to alter her body.
Yeah.
I respect that because you shouldn't. I don't feel like she should have to change anything. Is get your game up.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can't beat her, just give it time.
Yeah,
eventually her body will naturally not be able to run as fast as you normally did.
Yeah, that's what happened with Hussein, right? He's getting to the age.
Oh, he left while he was on top.
Yeah.
He left. That's what I'm saying. Like
this dude still ran a 4-1.
He's lost in earlier races
when he first started, right? He lost
even when he first started. Even within the last 2 or 3 years, he would when he's getting into form, he would lose races to other guys who are actually really really fast and they actually push him. But when it came down to crunch
he never
time,
lost a big race.
Time, he's not losing.
He never loses.
He's gotten his body into the perfect shape. But this woman, she just dominates. She just does what she's supposed to. She's constantly working out year round, and she wins her races. But you should not restrict her because she's doing nothing illegal.
Yeah.
It's different if she took some medicine or she had a condition and they had to shoot her up with, a steroid to make sure that she stays healthy and stays alive. That's different. Then you can say, okay, look, in order for you to do this, you got to make sure, your testosterone is being elevated by an outside source. Her body naturally produces the testosterone. So it's not something that she's doing illegally. So I don't think that you should illegally make her drop her levels.
Yeah.
She's a scapegoat. It's convenient for them to say it's her testosterone levels. We'll do this instead of the governing body, whether it's the IOC or whatever running federation she's a part of, actually addressing the issue that they'll now have to encounter in dealing with transsexual, transgender, and how you navigate.
It's a bigger
control. It's all about control.
speaking of control, we're going to touch on this subject. We don't want to get too deep into it. Hopefully, everybody's emotions stay in check, because it is a touching subject, and it is a subject that's dear to us because we see it all the time, where you have this conflicting battle of going home. Now, we had a situation with Nipsey Hussle. Now, a lot of people don't really know much of Nipsey Hussle other than, he was a rapper who got shot. Now, the thing with Nipsey was yes, he had some unsavory lifestyle at some point in his life, but he made the choice to change that narrative in his life, and he went back to his roots. He stayed in, as a so-called hood. He went back to the hood. He gave back to the hood, and he wanted to make the hood better. But the end result, a lot of times, in a lot of cases that we see, is that neighborhood doesn't always embrace you the way you should be embraced, and they don't see what your true vision is. And a lot of times, we say it as, there's going to be haters.
Right.
But in this particular case, this man lost his life because of a quote unquote hater. Now, as for black men, how difficult have you seen, or situations have you seen where it was difficult for us, for yourself, or you've seen others go back to your quote unquote hood and be able to be successful in what they're trying to do? I don't even know how to formulate the question, but I guess the way I could say it is, have you experienced or seen others experience the frustration of going back to where you came from and trying to pull other people up?
I mean, yeah, we've seen it in several cases, not only with Nipsey, just several cases with other celebrities and things. I mean, like you said, it's a touchy subject. I think the overall takeaway for me is it's a difficult thing, especially when you grew up in the community, whether it be, a hood or whatever, and you have some people there who made sacrifices for you to get out and get out into society and make difference. You definitely want to come back and pay homage to those people and help them along. But I think you also battle. I think some of the battle is with the next generation that come up who don't know you, who don't care who you are, who don't have the same appreciation for you. And I think those are some of the uphill battles. But it's a tough thing, man. Shoot, man. For me, I'm from the mindset that I can do far greater with my resources than I could do being presently there. And I think it changed per person, right? I think some people what's the word I'm looking for? Like everyone is on how can I say this? From a personality standpoint, everyone isn't like a galvanizing type personality, right? So everyone can't come in the hood, because you got money now and host rallies and get everybody revved up. You can do far greater with your checkbook, you know what I mean? Because you're just not that kind of person. Your personality doesn't really play to that. So I don't think there's no standard. That's what I'm getting at. There's no standard to say, okay, this is the way you go and give back. And I think everyone has to assess how they do that. And I think, understanding that people are, understanding that people are, you're going to have those haters, you're going to have people who don't appreciate or who don't care who you are or what you've done, then, it's going to be difficult for you to really just galvanize everybody. You're going to have people who are just on the whole other end of the spectrum. They don't really care about what you're talking about. So it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's deep, man. Go ahead, Doug.
So it's pretty Boosie, Lil Boosie. I'm quoting Lil Boosie here. said that
Boosie.
it's a known fact that most rappers die in their hometown. And I think that that's just a correlation with the amount of people who prefer to live at home versus preferring to, go other places. I don't think that one needs to be held responsible or told that they should have done something this way or that way based off of the action that they took. Everyone's different. Like Cleet said, some people are galvanized in person. You need to be there. Your presence needs to be there. But you can't do nothing without money. Then you have other people who will step up, and take ownership and support you financially, even if they never step foot back there. It's always a tough decision either way. Personally, I have no desire ever to move back to where I was originally from. None whatsoever. I don't think that will ever change. But I do want to help people who have come from where I come from do greater things and see the world. I think that's what Nipsey did a whole lot. His presence was, I don't know if it was required there, but it definitely helped, right? Help people to see that other opportunities. And I know that he helped fund a whole bunch of people's businesses right from where he was, right? So they didn't have to go down to Silicon Valley to get funding or anything like that. He was right there. But in order to get to that point where he was, he had to go off and make money, right? He had to go off and become, someone, do something, and then return, have
resources
that
and
then make that return trip back. So I think it's unfortunate. Like you could die anywhere, right? There's no, you don't have more safety if you're away from the place where you grow up. I don't think that, but you want to also make sure that if you do return, you have the right mindset and not one that's going to cause you to just kind of beg, borrow, and steal everything, or like I'm home, so I should get this hookup, I should get that hookup. That you challenge yourself as a human being to go out and become the best version of yourself. I know personally when I was living at home, I wasn't the best version of myself. I was ridiculously dependent on my parents by choice. I wanted to be lazy. I didn't want to wake up until noon. Moving out when I did right after college was like super critical to the process of like becoming who I am today. So I don't want to say that he was wrong. I mean, he did what he believed was right, and sadly, someone thought that they should shoot him for something that he
trivial,
something petty, whatever.
Yeah,
right?
So
it's terrible, man.
Do you think that it is? Do you think that the familiarity of the neighborhood that you grew up in can sometimes be the biggest detriment?
Yeah, because you let your guard down, you know. So it's like you're a high profile person, and in any other scenario, you have your bodyguards on cue. You're uncomfortable, So you make decisions to try to have a level of comfort. But when you go back to a comfortable area, you feel like I don't need all that. They know me. They know who I am.
Right.
They know what I'm about. Ain't nobody trying to roll up on me because it's family. And you start to let all your guards down. And unfortunately, I think the biggest thing about this whole discussion is just, and it's not only the black community, because this is in some other minority communities. You know what I mean? It's like, it's
crabs in a bucket mentality, man.
Yeah, it's the mentality, man. It's like, it's competition. It's interracial competition where it's like, I want to be the one on top coming back. And giving everybody I got to beat you in doing it, as opposed to working together,
Right.
And some of the other, white community, Asian, Jewish, you don't have that, but you do have an Hispanic one. You have it there too, So you have where it's just you it's either you trying to leech off of them or you trying to find a way to dominate, take what they have, and it's
take over.
Yeah, and
takeover mentality.
Now, granted, there is still a bunch of people who are like, I'm on their team. I'm on the streets for them. I support them. So you do get a lot of support, but then you always have this little facet of people that are just on the other end, and they don't really have any innate reason why they dislike or they're hating or they're trying to stop the progress the person's making. They just, they feed on that and they become, They ultimately stopped the progress. So I think if you're going to go back, that guard, and it's hard to say. It's easy to say, oh yeah, you can't let your guard down. You gotta have your bodyguards. But to Wayne's point, it's like when you're in your comfort zone, it's like naturally you're gonna, you're at home. You're like, man, shoot, I'm gonna keep my shoes on the whole time I'm at home.
Yeah.
Take my shoes
So
on.
with that being said, in your opinion, and again, these are just opinions, do you think that is more beneficial to support from a distance versus going home? Because a lot of times you do get caught up in the, these my folks, we doing this, and then you see time and time again that's where you get in the most trouble because you're familiar with these people, everybody knows you, your guard is down, but at the same time, people who you thought were with you are just there because they're trying to take advantage of you to get what you got and then wipe you out.
Yeah.
And so do you think that is more beneficial in most cases, not all cases, but in most cases to be a benefit from a distance?
I think it's case by case, right? No two situations are going to be the same. If someone ever asks me, what do I think that they should do? I'm always going to be like, hey, you need to move out for a certain amount of time. Get some, roots someplace else so that you're not as dependent. Make sure that you're still close enough. Or if you have something that's moving you far away, make sure you just stay in connection with those particular people. But then what ends up happening is you can go to that next place, and that next place can become your comfort zone.
Yeah,
I saw this happen firsthand where my brother got super comfortable here in Orlando, and his uncomfortable situation was then moving back home, right? Being with my mom, and now he's doing great. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So you can that comfort zone can be established anywhere where you become too comfortable and you're just not keeping your wits about you. You're not, making sure that you're focused and driving. I'm not saying Nipsey had any one of these scenarios happen. I think what just ended up happening is that he was from a bad area, decided to grow up, to grow a bad area where people were still doing things, and he was still, keeping in contact with the law enforcement and doing all the right things. But this is still a bad area. It hadn't transitioned yet into being an area where people feel safe. Now, he may feel safe, but he knows he's been growing up here his whole life. So it's like his level of safe was...
I say the familiarity can become a problem because I feel like, of course, hindsight is 20/20, but I feel like him visiting would have been more beneficial at that time because he became entrenched with the community. He lived in the community. He worked in the community. He provided jobs in the community, which is great. A lot of times that's what's needed for certain communities to be able to pull themselves up and unify. But I think his community involvement was one of his greatest accomplishments, but also one of his greatest detriments at the same time because you have that, there are legit haters out there who
it's too exposed. It's like people know. Okay, by the hours, the store hours of the of the store, you knew where to find them. It's like I know he's gonna be at the shop, so I just run up on him at any point and had that. Like you can't have that level of access when that many people know you.
Right?
You can't.
I think definitely he should have had more secure, and it's tough because you are home, but you have to have more security.
And then the state of California, you can't carry a gun. Mm-hmm. So
the thing, and then you also are dealing with the what we in our society, if you got security around you, you're a punk.
Yeah, exactly.
You from this neighborhood. What you got security for?
What you need that for?
Nah, bro.
And he actually had
he had some.
Yeah, but once again, they couldn't carry like that in the store because of the law. And so it was just a bad situation. It's like if you know that you have that background, right? You know what I'm saying? Your level of what we just talked about, your level of safety isn't really safe. It's like it's safe based off these other dudes ready to ride for me. If something pop off, that's not really safe.
Yeah, that's really
so you
not.
never was really safe to begin with. So to your point, I think you can't accomplish all the stuff he wanted to do and be that
exposed.
Yeah, you have to. You can still have the same speeches. You can still pour the same money. You can still do the same things. Coming in to visit.
I think the problem is that trying to find that balance, because you'll have a society that you're pouring money into, but then they'll say, "Oh, well, since you don't live here, you don't understand our struggles.
Exactly.
You don't know what's going on." It's
you
like,
had that
no,
happen
I
a whole
do.
lot.
That's why I left. But so I think that's kind of what he was struggling with, because he wanted to be a man of the people, but in reality, he needed to be a man among the people, but away from the people, and teaching them that, hey, we're gonna build it up, but you also need to go ahead and get yourself out, and we can still support and keep, turn this city into something great. But it's really difficult, because I myself, growing up, one of the areas that I grew up in, and there's really nothing there at this moment. I mean, they when I grew up, they had one street light, and they had, corner stores, and we didn't have a grocery store. We didn't have anything. And so it's like difficult for me to think of going back to that area.
No one knows you.
Yeah, but even still, even if they know me, because most of my family's there, but
living there is just a complete
what are we
kind of
doing?
Quality of life is
what
like,
am I doing this for? I'll support you from a distance. I'll show up here and there. If there's a community event where we've organized it, I think that's the way. And it sounds terrible, because you always want to be like, man, I'm going back to where I grew up. I'm gonna pull the city out, but in our culture, man, you just make yourself a target, and that's the reality of it. Because there are, when I say there's legitimate haters, there are people that hate the fact that you're successful.
For no reason.
Made it out of a bad neighborhood with the same everything that all the odds that you face, I face. I just made a decision that I'm moving. I don't care where I fall, and
well,
there
a lot
are
of the
people
times
that really will hate
it's their own convictions. It's like, I wanted to do it, and I believe my circumstances didn't allow me to, so I'm gonna hate on you. And I mean, right now, that's why my stance is you got to do it from afar, because we didn't have any examples of success doing it. I think the closest person right now in my foremind is LeBron, but he doesn't. He lived in the city, but he stayed kind of off in the suburb part of it.
LeBron did not live in Cleveland.
I'm talking about Akron. That's where he does.
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh yeah.
So he lived in Akron, but he stayed still in the suburb part of Akron. He didn't stay in the hood part where he grew up.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean. But he still
I would say
did.
That the biggest person that's doing it right now is Snoop, because Snoop does a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't really talk about. Snoop has his little league. Same thing with Luke.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Uncle Luke.
Yeah.
Those guys, they still are in the same cities that they grew up in.
But it just moved to a better side of town.
They don't live
and that's the
in
thing.
that
It's like even that. It's like
Uncle Luke lived in Liberty City.
Miss all those people who are talking. Oh, you don't know Australia. Man, I grew up here and I stay down the street, bro. I know I drive through here enough to know what's going on. Don't tell me I don't know what's going on. I grew up here,
exactly, man.
So I have enough years of experience here. I still stay in the same city, and I'm 20, 30 minutes away, yo. So no, I know what's going on.
Making excuses,
yeah.
Man.
So and I don't need those people who are gonna give me that argument. You know what I'm saying? So bump y'all.
That's another thing that you have to take. There's going to be a lot of haters, so to speak. But the impact, you got to focus on the people who you are impacting, who are having a positive impact on this whole entire thing. The people who do come up and say thank you, or the people who will read about his legacy 10 years from now and be inspired. That's what you really have to focus on, because focusing on the people who are like trying to deter you or who are complaining,
you got
know what I mean? Like
yeah,
man,
I guess I'm soft.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to create something for generations. So
that was my takeaway, man. It was unfortunate, man. I think that's what he knew. He wanted to be comfortable. He thought he had his group that would hold him down, and
they did. It's just you're going to always have...
Well, the crazy thing, that dude is kind of from his group. So it's like...
You're going to always have one hater, man, that's going... Sometimes, they have the expression, what is it? One bad apple... I forgot how it goes.
Ruins the whole bunch, something like that?
Yeah, spoils the bunch, I think it is, or something like that.
All
you need... Yeah,
that works.
Good, man.
I'll buy it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's real talk. All it takes is one person in your group and your circle of people.
Judas.
That's the perfect reference.
Judas.
All it takes is one, and they can shut down the whole operation.
Everything.
From
That's
the inside
man.
out.
That is terrible, dude.
So, man, the moral of this story is, man, go with the goers. Be smart. Be safe. You know, there's nothing wrong with going back and contributing to your neighborhood or where you lived or, you know, where you come from. But don't expose yourself. Don't put yourself in a situation, especially if you know. Now, if you went back to a suburb, by all means,
And you already but if you leave your front door open.
Yeah, you know you grew up in the hood of hoods where at least once a day somebody got shot. Come on, let's be smart with it.
Come on, and they're robbing people for money. It's like you got money. You're a target.
If you know that you coming back to an area that is impoverished, and you know that now that you're full on successful, don't make yourself a target. Again, there's nothing wrong with donating. There's nothing wrong with donating your time, your finances, and trying to build the area up. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't make that your station now. That's where you're sitting down and you're a sitting duck because you don't move the way they move.
Matter of time, man. Matter of time.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Agreed.
So we're gonna leave y'all with that. Hopefully that helps somebody. You know, you don't have to. Don't be upset because you didn't move back, and don't let anybody talk trash to you because you ain't moved back home when you became successful. Please. Get in, do what you got to do, get out. And that's real talk.
If you want to help, send checks. That's it.
Send
that's
money.
A great way to help.
That's the quickest way to shut everybody up.
Yep. Show up to events, and if you show up to an event and looking a little fishy, you don't gotta ever go back.
Nope.
Yeah.
Listen. I could love y'all from social media.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll
rep the city. I'll rep the city hard.
I do not have
over here in my suburb because I want to live and not die. Thank you.
That's it, man. Well, from me, my boy Diddy Rowe, my boy Cleet the Geek,
Yeah.
my boy G Dub.
Holla.
We out, man.
All right.